Here's the new beginnings. Here's the new beginnings. The pull up so independent. We pull up so independent.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Sloan Blueprint. I am your co-host, Nicole Sloan.
And I'm Eric Sloan.
And we're delighted that you've joined us again today for another episode. We've got a special guest today. None other than would you prefer me to say Miss Krishula?
That's fine, Miss Krishula.
Miss Krishula Edwards. Y'all give her a hand. Come on. Look, you supposed to clap too. Put your little thing down. But we are so grateful that you joined us today. Last week, and I'll let Eric tell a little bit about the episode on last week, what we were discussing.
Why I got to talk?
Go ahead.
You do such a wonderful job doing it, so I'll be good in the background chilling. The episode last week, as we were talking about mental health as it relates to couplepreneurship, but then some of the tools and strategies that you may be able to use. One of the things that we talked about was working out to help with your mental health, and then being able to have more like an accountability partner in your wife or somebody else that you can just have a conversation with, and just providing some tools there. So one of the main reasons we have our special guest today.
Diving a little bit deeper and exploring the topic of mental health, which we know you are an expert. And again, we're grateful that you've joined us. So if you would enlighten our guests and just tell them a little bit about yourself first.
Well, thank you. My name is Krishula Edwards, and I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I am certified trauma professional counselor. My background specialty is dealing with substance abuse, human trafficking, domestic violence, and sexual abuse clients. My company is Edwards Essentials, LLC. I do mental health consulting work, going out, we're doing trainings, we're doing panel discussions, just talking to people, educating them, encouraging people about counseling, educating them on what counseling is, the benefits, all those good tools that we need for our body, our minds, and our soul.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. That's very important. We were talking this morning as we were riding our bikes, and we were saying how mental health, of course, it's not just mental, but it also is physical. All of that plays in, and you correct me if I'm wrong,
right.
But we feel that it all works hand in hand. So I guess we'll get started. I want you to just tell, or we would like for you to tell our guests, our audience, a little bit about what mental health is and why it's important.
Yeah, so mental health is our mental well-being, physical, emotional well-being, and it compromises a lot of different things. Like you said, physical, a lot of people automatically thinks when they think about mental health, they don't think about your mind, but they don't think about the actual body part. And you have to think about it in the parts of, you have a doctor for your eyes, you have a doctor for your heart, you go to all these different doctors for these body parts, but how many people actually go to counseling and deal with their mind? They don't deal with that part of their life. They let things build up inside of them. They don't ever go talk to someone about it. And some people say, well, I go talk to my pastor, I talk to my mom, someone like that. And those things are good because that's your support system and that's your village. But it's also important that you have a professional person, like I like to say, don't have a dog in the fight. They're going to give you research. They're going to give you unbiased information that's not just going to be one-sided because I know you and I know the situation. You need someone that's going to come with facts. They're giving you that information that have been tested, that information that's not only just, well, this is what grandma did and this is what granddaddy did. This information is like, this is actual, this is valid information and things that you can do.
Right.
This is going to help you cope. This information is going to sustain your life and help you become a better person.
Oh, wow. That's really good. And I like the way you put that because like you said, a lot of times we'll go to our best friend or like you said, mama, grandmama, and they all have these remedies. But and I know personally, now I do say this, in addition to needing mental health counselor or mental health professional to assist with my needs too, I do talk to Jesus, but we got to do more than talk to Jesus.
Well, you can have God and a counselor.
That's right. We got to.
You got to.
We've got to. So I'm glad you said that. That was very, very, very enlightening.
I like that.
Yeah, you can because, just like you have a doctor for everything.
Yeah.
You can have more, you can have a counselor and a doctor to go help you with these different things. Everybody everybody specializes in something different. So you want to go to your podiatrist for something dealing with your head.
That's right.
You know, you'll go to a neurologist for that, and the same vice versa. You have to think about those different things.
That's true. That's true. Man, that's so true. So what would you consider, what are some of the most common mental health issues that you see? And even maybe some of the most common mental health issues, but then some of the symptoms that we should be aware of.
Some of the most common ones are going to be depression and anxiety. And those are two things that mostly everybody in their life have, whether they want to admit it or not, because everyone has dealt with something in their past or in their life that has been traumatic to them. And trauma hits people in different ways, and it impacts them differently, whatever type of your trauma that you've had. Trauma cannot be ranked, just like sin or pain. There's no such thing as ranking it. So when it comes to trauma, you may have been in a car accident, I may have been in a burning house, you may have burned your hand. All of that is trauma. It's going to impact us differently, but that's your trauma. And those different things, they help make up what happens to your body, the anxiety that comes, that depression that comes, and how it impacts you. And those two things, a lot of people develop them, or in my mind, it just got stronger, especially during COVID time. When we were closed in the house, you couldn't do things that you wanted to do. You had to basically pivot with a purpose in business, in life, and all these different things. A lot of people then started to get more depression. They became more anxious because they can't move around, do what they want to do. They start getting sick. People was dying. It was a lot of stuff that was indirectly done that people was feeling that impact of watching the news of all the people dying and stuff going on across the world, that they start getting depressed about. Because then, what did that happen to me? What about my family members? How can I go see my family and deal with these type of things? A lot of our kids, our youth is dealing with depression and anxiety. They don't know how to verbally express themselves. A lot of them act out. So crime is up because of these type of things. And a lot of times too, people do other things. They overeat, they drink, take drugs, you know, all of these things, they flow together because of how people coping with depression. They're coping with their anxiety. Symptoms that people do all the time: fatigue, you know, withdrawal, isolation. And some people may say, well, what if they just need some me time? I understand that, but me time is not something that you're going to do all the time.
Right. That's
a situational thing. When you start to isolate yourself all the time in situations, and you start noticing subtle, then traumatic changes in a person's personality, their lifestyle, they start selling everything in their house, start making these like real radical plans of what they're gonna do. They start talking differently. You know, you want to start paying attention to some of those little things and not just brush them off, because a lot of times we do our friends like that when they say certain things. Oh, girl, you talking crazy. Oh, bruh, you ain't gonna do that.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
But we have to start paying attention and really asking them those hard questions of, are you serious? You know, do you need help with something? How can I help you? What can I do to assist you? Checking on them. Not saying you gotta call somebody every day, go over their house and stalk them, but sometimes people just need a listening ear.
That's true. And when you mentioned even our children, or children in general, children, young adults, whatever,
Yes.
of course it affects us, but social media plays a huge role. When we grew up, we went outside, we played together, you know, we didn't have video games and all of these kinds of different technologies that they have now. And so social media plays a major role in the growth and development of these kids, because you know, you got kids that want to jump on social media at probably 10, 11 years old. I think that's too young, you know, but some parents allow that. But how would you even say social media affects the...
Social media is huge because people see that. Our kids are seeing these things on social media and they want to model that. They think that's life. They think that's reality. A lot of them act it out. You know, they see these celebrities. A lot of them don't realize and don't know there's a character some of them are playing. That's not even their real names.
Right.
That's not their real lifestyle. And they want to imitate all of these different things. And they also get in their mind that is the only way of living. That's life, you know, to be a rapper, to be these things. And they don't know other avenues and paths of careers and ways of living because they think that's what it is. Taking pictures all the time, posting it. Granted, influencers, they do make money.
Absolutely.
They get endorsement deals. Hey,
Right.
hey, I'm looking for some. Y'all going to throw me some.
Right.
Hey, put that out there.
I'm with you
But
on
what
that.
I'm saying is,
However,
that's not the way of you should live every day, you know, on social media. I always want to take pictures, put your life out there, because you also got to remember from awareness standpoint that it's not a good thing, because people track you. They know your every move, what you like, what you do, who's this, who's that, and that can also be a very dangerous situation sometimes. And for some children, it is, because it gets into a whole different segment of trafficking, stalking, harassment, all these other different things that people don't understand. They dig in a rabbit hole for.
Wow.
So what advice do you have for someone who thinks that they may be experiencing mental health, I guess unsure about what they need to do, and then is just seeking help in that aspect?
I would say they consult with their physician first. They need to go to their doctor. If they don't have a primary doctor, then they need to make an appointment at a local community county center, you know, to go and get some help, to go talk to them to see if it's something that they can help them with. They'll have an assessment, ask them a series of questions about their eating, their daily tasks, things like that, their grooming, because all of that plays a part in different mental health illnesses that people have, how well they take care of themselves, their thinking skills, motor skills, those type of things. So once they consult with their physician, that physician then can write them a referral for a psychologist or a psychiatrist, or they can go to a local mental health center. Now, if it's not one in their area, they can look up different counselors, psychologists based on their network with their insurance. They don't have insurance, then they need to reach out to some of the nonprofits in the areas that provide free services. Here in Montgomery, we have a few nonprofits that provide free services. Family Guidance Center, they do all types of different type of counseling. It's free. You have Family Sunshine Center. They specialize in trauma counseling, dealing with sexual assault, domestic violence, human trafficking. You got One Place Justice Center, and then you have private practices also around the area, and then you have the Mental Health Center here in Montgomery also.
Okay, those are some really good avenues. I'm glad you mentioned those, because some people just don't know. And we jump on Google to try to find, but I'm glad that you said that.
You mentioned that some people just don't know or may be afraid. What are some of the rules associated to a counselor as far as not being able to give your information out? Because some people have that in their mind. Well, I don't want to tell this person, that they go out and be talking about telling all my business. So what are some of the rules associated from you guys?
Well, that's one thing too about going to professional and not going to like cousin and auntie and often them, because we bound by law, by confidentiality laws. You cannot tell, you know, unless it's a danger to the person or them themselves. Like, you come to me and say you're going to commit suicide, I have to report that information because I got to get you some help.
Absolutely.
If you are talking about harming somebody else, you come and tell, I'm going to go kill them, I have to report that, because duty to warn, I have to let somebody know, because this is a dangerous situation.
Right.
If you are doing any harm to a child, like a child, if it's child abuse, elder abuse, neglect, those type of things, anyone with vulnerable disabilities, you have to report all of these things. And basically it's being a mandate reporter by law that you have to report certain things. But if you just come and talk to that person, letting them know your problems and your sorrows and what you're going through, that information stays between you and that counselor. They cannot go tell. And if they do, there's laws with that you can report that person for telling your business without your consent. Consent is the magic word for a lot of things. If you do not have consent, I cannot go tell your business. But mom and grandma and auntie them, they can call up your other auntie and cousins and say, hey, you know Nicole over here just told me that her head hurting and she over here want to commit suicide, you know, and then you got the whole family in your business, but ain't nobody trying to give no results to help. Everybody just now want to talk.
That's right. And see, and that's the thing, because there's such a stigma associated with it. So people don't know who they can talk to. They don't even trust some of the professionals. So in that, how do you reduce that? I mean, how do you reduce the, I guess, that, or for me, if I wanted to come to you and talk to you, but I feel, oh gosh, I can't talk to her because she may tell so-and-so and this one and that one, then how do you reduce that as far as the stigma that's associated with it?
Well, for one, the person has to be willingly coming. Nobody can make nobody come and talk unless they have a will to. That's first and foremost. The person has to build up within themselves first that they are ready to get help and talk to somebody. Every counselor has consulting time. You can go and basically have your first consulting with them talk to them, ask questions to see if this is going to be a fit for me. Basically, it's like dating a counselor. You get to go to this counselor, set up a consultant appointment to say, hey, I want to talk to you about your office. What are your hours? What do you offer? What type of things are we going to be doing in counseling? And basically see that personality and what are they going to be able to offer you. If you feel it's not a good fit, go to the next counselor. You do not have to commit to a counselor that you don't want. But say you do commit to a counselor and you get to your third or fourth session and you feel like it's not working for you, you can always say, hey, this is not working for me. And you can sign paperwork that basically you're disengaging yourself from that counselor, you're terminating services, and you can go find you a new one.
Okay.
I didn't know there was so much associated too. Just counseling from that aspect of it. But it was funny how you said it. Speed dating. I never thought about if you're transitioning.
I like to put stuff in analogy, like layman's terms
that's
for
good
people.
for us to understand.
You know,
For
when you
us
think
too.
about it, you know,
Yeah.
it's really like speed dating
It is.
counselors because you can go and
Right.
find that fit for you. You don't have to stay where you're not wanted. If you find yourself with a counselor and that's just not the right fit for you, then you can go somewhere else and you can choose your counselor. If you want a male or female, if you want someone of a certain gender, if you want someone specializing in something, you get to decide all of those different factors for your counselor. And you can ask them those questions. Hey, do you specialize in LGBT community? If they don't, I'm looking for a counselor that specializes in that. Hey, do you specialize in trauma? I'm looking for someone in trauma. Do you specialize in children? I'm looking for someone in that. You get to ask those different questions with that counselor.
Okay. It's not like you can get references or, I don't know, testimonials from other patients.
Well, yes, but no. Some
That's what I
people
said.
do have like certain information on their website if they have a website and you can go out and read. However, some people don't. Another good resource that a lot of people can use, but is subjective because everybody's not on it. Psychology Today. You can go on Psychology Today, type in, you're looking for a counselor, psychologist, and put in what city and state that you're in. They will pull up everybody in that area that's on their website that's registered with them, and you get to read about their specialty, their prices, insurance, every little thing about them on that website. If they have a website, you have a link on there to take you to their website and you get to look up that information.
Okay, that was the other thing I was going to ask too. Is you were saying it, insurance. Do most would you call them counselors? What? And let me ask this: do they take insurance? But also the difference between maybe a clinical mental health counselor and a psychiatrist, or
Well, psychiatrist has an MD.
Okay.
So they are a doctor. A counselor has a master's. Well, some counselors may have a PhD, but it's not an MD.
Gotcha.
So it's difference in the type of degrees they have in their specialties. A psychiatrist and a psychologist, and some other counselors, they may have a PhD, but that psychiatrists actually go a little further than just PhD, and they have an MD because they actually can prescribe medicine.
I see.
Oh, wow.
Okay. See,
I didn't understand it. Wow.
I didn't know
You
that.
just taught me something.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Good. So what about as far as any emerging treatments or methodologies today that you think that may be particularly helpful or impactful for someone that's dealing with mental health issues? Anything?
Everyone is different, and it's case by case. They're coming out with different medicine and different treatments every day for different things. You got to find what works for you. A lot of clients that I have dealt with and people, they say they're tired of being a guinea pigs because a lot of medication is not, I say, well tested, or it hasn't been given to enough people yet to say, oh, this is really going to affect me negative or positive. But you also have to remember, medicine counteracts our body differently. So you may take an Advil and it works for you, and I take one, same prescription, same brand, everything, and it doesn't. And so you have to think about that in the same terms of medication dealing for mental illnesses and dealing with mental health. It's not going to work for everybody. So some that coming out new now, we don't know, you know, and it's real trial and error because just like with any medicine, it comes with label warnings. You might be taking it because of having different symptoms dealing with schizophrenia. And that medication may say, well, side effects is heart precipitation, headaches, diarrhea. You still got all this other stuff that you got to deal with. And when it's saying that, oh, it's going to treat this, but you got to watch out for these 10 things.
Right.
It's the same thing with mental health medication, with regular medication too. You know, it's no different on that. So all the medicine now that's coming out, everybody's got to take it to see if it's going to work for them. I mean, that's what they do with mental health medication, to see if it's going to work with them and how it's going to counteract with their body.
It made me think about some years ago when I was sick. I remember my doctor, she was trying to prescribe some type of anxiety medication. I don't know if you remember the name of it.
Is it Klonopin or?
That doesn't sound like it, but I was really hesitant to take it because, of course, I was dealing with the depression due to the sickness and, you know, all the factors, the things that was affecting me. But I refused to take it, which I at the time, I think it was the best decision for me. But I refused to take it at the time because I had heard about all of the, you know, side effects. And, you know, I heard, well, if you take this, it's going to make you more depressed or, you know, make you suicidal or whatever. So I was, you know, really reluctant. You probably remember that.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name. I can't remember. It was a common depression medication, maybe.
Well, then the addiction, I think it was one of the medicines where you could potentially become addicted to it.
Right, and I think that's what it was.
Some of the medication with mental health is like that too. So they only prescribe a little dosage amount because a lot of it's controlled substance. That you're dealing with a lot of controlled substance when it comes to mental health medication. And a lot of people do get addicted to it. And another thing too is a lot of people is abusing it. They're taking their mental health medication but still drinking and all that kind of stuff. And that just a chemical experiment waiting to explode, basically. I mean, that's what it is.
Just a disaster.
So really be lit.
Literally.
They be more than lit. You know, some like from that, they have episodes. That's why a lot of times when you hear somebody say, well, they had an episode, sometimes it's because the counteract of the medication with their body is not going the way that they're supposed to. And sometimes people have mixed things in with it too. They're still taking drugs or alcohol with that medication, like Zoloft. You're not supposed to drink with that. That's a very strong medication. Right. Some people do, and they turn around and have an episode.
Wow.
One of the things that I know we were talking about, I wanted to backtrack just a little bit. We were talking about the physical aspects of it. Sometimes, I guess, in this new generation, what back in the day, what we would perceive as, you know, poor hygiene or something like that, it's almost like it's the norm now. So how can we pay attention or see some of that if that's almost the norm as far as walking around with your hair messed up or some of them poor hygiene? Like, oh man, but some of them it's normal.
Right. I think in that aspect, and you're right, it's just if you're close to that person, having a conversation with them to ask them, hey, you know, when's the last time that they've taken a bath or a shower? When the last time they got the haircut? Or ask them if they would like to go get their haircut. You know, you can kind of see their reaction, hear their voice, their tone, their pitch, and that aspect of them being reluctant to do certain things and get a feel for what's going on. Yeah, a lot of times people are just doing because that's what they want to do. I don't understand it, but you know, that's what they want to do. But in those times, then I would just have a conversation with them, because if I see my friend and I know this is a person that always kept themselves up, he always kept a haircut, she always kept her hair done, and I start seeing that, I'm gonna have a conversation with them and ask them, because it may not be mental health. Hey, it can be financial, and they may be ashamed to even say anything. So I'm gonna just have a conversation with them aside from everybody else to find out what's going on.
I like that. Not being reluctant to have that conversation and being able to communicate, because I figure like that would be one of those critical.
Those are red flag. Like they're like reluctant to even answer your question. Or they like leave it alone. You know how you start hearing people tone change when you ask them certain things or you try to have a conversation with them. Then you can then see like, okay, this ain't going the way I planned it. So something else is going on. It's a little deeper than, hey, they just don't want to. For me to take them to get a haircut or get their hair done, something else is going on. Okay. And a lot of times, like I said, with people, it could be shame, especially, you know, African American people, and other cultures too. You know, it's that whole stigma of shame. Shame is a big word and a big stain on a lot of people of them not want to come forward, especially with mental health.
How can we as friends and family be supportive to each other if we know that someone is dealing with a mental health issue? What can we do?
I say just be a listening ear for them, because at the end of the day, you don't want to scare that person. You don't want them to feel, I say, ambush in a way that is negative. You want them to feel loved, accepted for whatever they're about to say to you. You know, you don't know what's been on their mind. And a lot of times we don't know what a person has been through. Family secrets is a big thing for a lot of people, families and cultures. So you have to think about that. You may not know, and you may think like, I can't believe that happened. But saying little smart marks like that can really push a person away, or you saying little digs and different things that can deter a person from coming to you and open up. People pay attention to small things. And I tell people all the time, less is more. And it's the small things that count. Because you can say one small thing that'll open a person up. You can also say one small thing that'll shut them down. And they feel like, I don't want to say nothing else to that person. Or I know the things that I can and cannot say to them. And that's the same thing with counselors. You have to be careful what you say to clients, certain clients. Everybody is case by case. One of my clients, I may be able to talk more freely with. Another one, I'm not to that point yet, even though they've probably been with me for 5 sessions, but we're still building that rapport with each other. That trust is not as solid as with the other client it is. So you have to remember that. And it goes the same thing with family and friends. Timelines, history doesn't matter. You have to make sure that you're solid, solidified with talking with that person and they can open up to you. And just being able to say what's on their mind, taking that person to the side. Like I said, people don't want to be embarrassed. Nobody want to be embarrassed. Nobody want to be ashamed. So sometimes you saying stuff out in front of people, even this family. Hey, this is just our family. You can come and tell us. No, I might not want to, because something that I'm talking about is something about somebody else in this room that's done something to me, and they're not going to be as open and receive that information as I want. So, and you as a person, as a family friend, have to be open to receive whatever they're saying, however they're saying, and work on facials, tones, verbal, posture, all of those different things. Because if somebody come out and tell you, hey, I want to come out the closet to you and tell you this, this, and this, and you like, what you mean? Right then,
you lost them.
You lost them.
Yeah,
you lost them.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah,
Just
if somebody come out and tell you, hey, I tried to kill myself. I attempted suicide last night. What you do that for? You crazy. You lost them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you have to think about these things, and it's not in which I knew that's not what you probably was trying to say when you said it to the person, but it's like still what they heard, and when you put something out there, you can't take it back.
That's true. So it's about having that compassion, because again, like you just said,
Empathy,
you could push them
compassion.
just over the edge.
Right.
You could be that person to push that person over the edge.
And it's basically just having empathy for people, you know, not sympathy, feeling sorry for them, but having that empathy for them, to position yourself as, this can happen to me, this can happen to my child, my family member, you know, any situation, things can happen in the blink of an eye.
That's true.
So you never know what a person is battling internally.
That's true. That is so true. My best friend and I were just talking about that the other night, having empathy.
She get on me about that all the time.
I think it's a guy thing. Sometimes they don't put themselves in our shoes or other people's shoes. Sometimes they just don't know how to.
I think it's a person thing, because you got some women that do that too. I think it's just a person thing. And sometimes it's hard for people to flip it because they never had to struggle. They never had to think about their next meal. They never had to think about certain aspects of life or do certain things out of their norm. So for them, empathy, I don't know what that is, because this is my norm. I've always had this. I've always done this, you know, and it's all about me, me, me. You know, I know situations. It's never about we, us, ours, those type of togetherness words.
Makes sense.
Very well said.
Yep, very well said. Well, I think we can probably wrap it up. We probably held you long enough.
I'm here. I'm here, no problem.
I know I've enjoyed it.
No, seriously, I've learned quite a bit, especially paying attention to, you know, of course, the physical. In the world right now, we see so many things and so many people that may look like they're fine, like everything is okay.
Look okay.
They're wearing the mask.
That's it.
They're just wearing the mask.
That's it.
That's what a lot of times. I know that you touched on, said your last episode was about couples, and one thing I want to try to suggest to the couples is that even dealing with mental health, you want to learn your partner's love language and how they receive help and those type of things, and how their coping skills are.
That's right.
And you want to make sure you give it to them in their love language, not in yours. You know, because if you cope in a way of you need to go in the other room and you need isolation time, but my coping skill is I want to be up under you in physical touch and all this, that's not gonna work.
That's true. Come on, David.
See, I thought we were supposed to be closing.
She had to get that out.
I had to get that out. I had to get that out.
Confirmation. But that's true. That's true. You have to learn your spouse's or your partner's whatever love language. So you heard that, right?
Why are you looking at me?
Y'all heard it too. She said it, I didn't. But again, we really appreciate you for joining us. A lot of helpful information for me personally. I know I gained a lot from that. I mean, a ton of information. And I know we probably could sit and talk for 2 hours. I could listen to you probably for at least 2 hours or more. But you have anything that you want to add?
No, I don't. But we can close it out. So we thank you for watching the Sloan Blueprint. You can continue to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all social media platforms. YouTube episodes are all on at the Sloan Blueprint on YouTube. And again, we want to thank our guests. We truly appreciate the insightful information and the knowledge that you have given not only us, but also the audience.
And tell them again, Edwards.
Yes, Edwards Essentials LLC. Email me. That's edwardsessentialsllc@gmail.com. Or go to my website, edwardsessentialsllc.com.
All right. Well, we are thesloans.com. Don't y'all forget, we've got Boss Times 2 merchandise available. If you all have any topics that you would like for us to discuss, please email us at info@sloanblueprint.com. Thank you again for joining us. Y'all stay tuned for the next episode of the Sloan Blueprint.
Here's the new beginnings. Here's the new beginnings. The pull up so independent. We pull up so independent.